Welcome back to another episode of GamerVice. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined with
your boy Hank, Crunky in the building. Let's go.
Let's Go. And obviously, if you're watching, you might notice that we're missing somebody. Logan, who is unfortunately feeling ill, he's not here with us, so hopefully he gets better. But the show must go on, so we are here to talk today about the new announced PlayStation Handheld. Now, this yes, the excitement is there, except, well, we're going to talk about it. So, this report came from Insider Gaming, and basically it says that they confirmed that a new handheld is in development. The handheld is supposed to be 1080p, 60 frames per second, 8-inch LCD screen handheld. It looks similar, or hopefully it'll look similar to like a PSP type of setup, but it's supposed to be releasing sometime before the PlayStation 5 Pro, which would be holiday of 2024, so next year. This console, I'm going to run down a couple of the stats here, and then we'll talk about it. So
yeah,
it sports, like I said, adaptive streaming up to 1080p and 60 frames per second. So it's not actually a solid 1080p for 60 frames. It's up to.
Already hurting me. Up to.
And the device requires constant connectivity to the internet. On top of that, it's not a cloud streaming device. It uses remote play with the PS5. So you're using your library from your PS5 to access games, and it's being remote shared from your PS5. So
clever.
To recap, you need a PS5, you need internet, and then you need this device to be able to stream up to 1080p and up to 60 frames per second. Crunky, what do you think about this?
That's a lot of information to unpack. Okay, because Sony, if y'all didn't want to keep making a bad name for yourselves, you're doing a bad job of it. Okay. Nice. The stuff with the monopolizing, getting mad at Xbox for this. Other than Sony having some great single player studios exclusive console titles that be dropping 10s and 9s, y'all do almost everything wrong. Okay. We are getting a handheld system. Handheld. Let's go back to the days. First handheld. Okay. This might not be the first handheld. I'm going to go ahead and think it's the first handheld. Game Boy.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody, take your Game Boy anywhere, play it anywhere, right? That's the idea that kind of sticks in your head with the handheld device. So explain to me why now this handheld device, I'm always got to be connected to the internet. That's your first strike. Okay. Second strike. Oh, in case you didn't know, like, yeah, here's our handheld. Oh, but you need our premier console, which is locked behind a $400, $500 paywall. Just so you know. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, and you're not really I don't know. Up to is now using those words up to 1080p, up to 60 frames, which means you're leaving all that gray area and you're using safety words by putting the word up to and not guaranteeing it, which I get it. Smart company move. But like now we know when you're getting 720p and you're getting 30 frames per second, you can be like, well, we said up to, you know what I mean? There's just so many things wrong with this, but the paywall behind the PlayStation's got to be the most ridiculous thing, because at this point it's like it's not a standalone handheld, and it's really a add-on piece to a PlayStation now. Is what it really is.
Yep.
And at this point, you're paying for a screen, I guess. I don't know what technology is even in there. You're paying for a small screen, and then I guess because it's buttons, you have to consider it's like a controller. So that's why it's like, realistically, the way you're telling me this console handheld works, requires so many other things that require money. Realistically, this shit should be $50 if you're asking me. $50. But I already know that's not even possible because a DualSense controller costs $70 and it's essentially a controller,
Yeah.
but then with a screen on it. So I don't even know how you're going to justify $100. And if we're being honest, I don't think they're going to introduce this any lower than 200. So I don't know, maybe 180, but I could keep going in. I'm going to try and think of maybe the pros here, but I'm going to let Kevin get a shot at this and he could deep dive more into it because this is absurd. I just can't.
It is pretty crazy. And I'm going to agree with pretty much everything you said, except for I don't think that having a PS5 is the worst thing about it. Even though, trust me, that is a ridiculous thing to have your $400 console just to have another $200-$300 device. I don't think it's going to be less than $200. I think it's going to be closer to $300. I think the fact that you need constant connectivity to your PS5 is the problem, right? Like, if it was something like, okay, now that you have this, any game that you have bought on the PS5, you can download to it and use it offline. Like, I'm just trying to think, who's the niche people who are going to use this? You can't take it on trips because you can't use it anywhere where you don't have internet. You can't use it on the plane. That's where I when I'm traveling, that's where I want to use my handheld shit. Like 2-3 hour plane trip. That's what I want. Nope, you can't use it there. Again, you need internet. You can't use it there. And then just like you said, the PS5 issue is I can't even imagine. So basically, to use your own games in a handheld now, you have to spend minimum $700-$800.
Yeah. It's just not a good business proposition. And like you said, you want to use it traveling and all this. I even thought, like, I was trying to think of some pros while you was talking there, and I just thought of another negative because I can already see how this is going to be a problem. Like, let's say we buy this. Oh, families in the house. This is where they can at least help themselves because I'm just assuming now. Oh, little Johnny, little Jimmy live in the house, got the PlayStation 5. They hate sharing it. Boom, we buy the handheld. Question is now, it's remote play. It's literally probably using the PlayStation 5. Like, can Johnny play on the PS5 and Jimmy go play on the handheld? That would be great. Because now essentially, now you're talking about like, oh, the niche market, like the little ass market you're hitting is people that have to share. Like, that's the only way I can actually see how this would be a good thing. Like, or something like instead of buying 2 consoles in your house, it's like now buy a smaller handheld console. Like while someone's playing on the big one, at least you can play on a little screen. Again, and that's like the littlest plus that you could take away, and that's the littlest like group of people that we're targeting here now. Okay, because I don't know, and something tells me if it's using remote play, which it sounds like it's going to be doing. I feel like that just means like you could be on the handheld or on your PS5. And that is going to be even a bigger no-no. I don't even know how much money you spend making this thing. Why even announce this, or why is this even in the works? I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
If it's something where you can, like you said, Jimmy can use it, and then John or whoever the other brother was,
Jimmy and Johnny,
Jimmy and Johnny, yeah. So Jimmy can use the handheld while Johnny uses the PS5. That's cool. That at least
has
means
a market,
that
like
it's a market, right? Yeah, for siblings or something like that, or just multiple people in the household.
Yeah.
But also, I just thought of another negative is by having the need for it to always be connected to the internet, that battery is probably going to be garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Think about your if you have a Switch or whatever, that thing probably lasts like, I don't know, like 5-6 hours on handheld, and that's not even that you're using it constantly online.
Yeah,
this is a handheld that you're gonna need to be constantly online. And what are we talking about? And then you're like, oh, well, maybe it could be a control. No, it can't be a control because that thing is too. Using a PSP as a control, that'd be so uncomfortable. So it's basically
it might be able to be used as a controller, but it has no business being used. This one,
right.
It's just a bad look. Sony. For today's episode, if we had to give Sony a thumbs up or a thumbs down, they received a thumbs down. All right, you're gonna shit the bed with this one, if you ask me. But only time can change that, and we will see. But that's just my thought on it.
Here's the last thought I have on this. And out in the article, they mentioned that the handheld is going to be released prior to the PS5 Pro. So what you're telling me is you're going to try to sell this handheld first, and then in a couple months, you're going to try to sell the $600 PS5 Pro in the holiday season.
Or they're going to bundle it.
Or they're going to bundle it. And then what'll really piss people off is because these companies like to do this type of thing, where the handheld will work better with the PS5 Pro. So now everybody who has a PS5 is going to feel...
Yeah, you're like, oh, I got to get... Yep.
Is going to feel fucking slighted. Like, can you imagine if they release the PS5 Pro after this handheld and they're like, oh, with the PS5 Pro, you can play one person.
1080p.
Yeah, or with the PS5 Pro, that's how Jimmy can play on the PS5 Pro, and Johnny can play on the handheld. That's how it works. But you couldn't do it with the regular one. Yeah.
Sony, get out of here. Man, we not playing with y'all.
I can really see them doing some stupid stuff like that. But
absolutely,
only time will tell. Hopefully, if anything, if there's any saving grace, and I don't see it happening because Sony products in general, Sony products meaning the PS5, their phones, their cameras, their TVs, their soundbars, they're all freaking overpriced. So I don't see this happening, but their only saving grace is if they price this reasonable. Like you said, like maybe like a $200, maybe.
That's not reasonable though. I'm saying I don't see how that's not reasonable. Reasonable, I would say, is 120. Like that's it. Like for if this article's right and we have all the information, how do you pay more than $150 for that? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a tough sell.
It is a tough sell.
We're moving on.
It is a tough sell, but you know what wasn't a tough sell was this past weekend. Super Mario Brothers came out, and we talked about this last week, and we were wondering. We talked about our predictions on whether it was going to be good or not, how people were going to perceive it, and come to find out, first weekend crushed in the box office. I think it hit like over 300 million. It's the highest grossing video game film ever now. It beat Sonic, and it beat, I think, something about Transformers, which I didn't understand why Transformers was in what I read, but it also beat Transformers because whatever. Huge. Despite the fact that the reviews on the film were pretty bad takes. So if we look at, for instance, Metacritic, which is okay in the fact that Metacritic is a average score based off of all of the critic reviews, right? So if you look at it, Metacritic, the critic reviews for Super Mario Brothers is a 46, while the user reviews, the actual people, the individuals who just went to go watch the movie and then they rated it on the site, gave it an 8.7, which is pretty high up there. So just based off of the critic reviews that came out prior to, and I remember this when we were doing our last podcast, they were around like 55. It actually got worse, I think, the number. So they were shitting on the movie before it was even like fully out. It was like the Wednesday it came out and they were like completely shitting on it. But come to find out, people pretty much love it and pretty favorably love it. So what is the like implication of these critic reviews giving such bad scores. Like, how is it looking at this, but then seeing how it was perceived? How can we possibly look at these scores from these critics and have them hold any weight? It's like,
Yeah.
a lot of them just, just skimming through it. This person said it was a flat concept. They need to course correct. There's no heartbeat. This one said the second film will be a success because this one's a disappointment. I mean, it goes on and on and on. What do you feel about just like these critic reviews and how critical they are and how off they're just so much off what the people feel? It's just weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, reviews, man, is a very, very touchy subject. So, we're going to talk about it in terms of this movie, and then we're going to get into it with games, okay? Because now you was talking about Metacritic. I got Rotten Tomato pulled up, and 211 critics on Rotten Tomato have this thing at the 56. It's got the yellow, the green Rotten Tomato smash. But then we got the popcorn with over 5,000 verified ratings from audience, and it's at a 96. Okay, that's a big discrepancy. But at the end of the day, if you go ask me, regular Joe Schmo at home,
right,
I'm gonna have to believe more likely that, hey, I'm audience myself. So if the audience gave it a 96, I'm going to resonate with the audience. I'm going to believe that. I'm going to go ahead and believe the 5,000 plus audience people as opposed to the 200 critics. But then that begs to differ my other question here. What the hell makes a critic a critic? I don't know. Maybe we got to look into it because I don't know what certifies you as a movie critic. But even at the end of the day, think about it. I don't even care if there is some criteria like you do this, and this.
Yeah.
Review. It is so subjective and opinionated to the individual. But let alone, though, it's also very odd. I mean, I can click through here. I'm not going to get into because I don't want my eyes looking all over. But like these reviews, like I'm trying to see. Okay. Because it's got the 56 overall, but some did give it. But like all of a sudden, so like every critic on how they watch movies, it's like then clearly they're watching the movie with like a freaking bullet point chart here, like, oh, didn't hit that. Or are you just watching the movie, man? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. Are you just watching the movie? Or are you sitting there with your clipboard making sure, like, ooh, did this, did that? Okay, sit down, enjoy the goddamn movie. Okay. Now that being said, there are bad movies. Okay, and there are bad games. I'm just saying, it is so weird when at the end of the day it's critic audience, but at the end of the day it's person. This is a group of people, and this is a group of people. This group of people just clearly didn't like the movie, but this group of people did. Like, so I guess it just depends what category you fall in. But at the end of the day, that's why it's so subjective, because I could go watch the movie, but we all like reviews, so you can get an idea. Or maybe it's like some people don't like to spend their money right away up front, or like not if they're not diehards, and it's like they want to hear it's a good movie before they actually go spend their money on it, which respect, and that's why we have reviews and things like this. So in this case, though, exactly, I'm gonna go ahead and be like, yo, the audience, I'm audience, I'm gonna go ahead and pay. Now, can I pay and then end up thinking it's bad? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm on the side where 7 to 8 to 9 out of 10 times, I think I'm going to end up on the audience side of any of the Rotten Tomato reviews, for example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I don't know. That's where I fall in it.
The other thing is, especially with the Rotten Tomato thing, is 56% of the critics enjoyed it. So that's 211 reviews, 56% of them.
Yeah. So
96% of over 5,000 people enjoyed the movie. So you're either going to go 56%, damn, that's hard. But then 96% of 5,000 people enjoyed this movie. I actually remember. I don't remember where I read it from or where I heard it from, but especially with individual reviews, this makes a lot of sense to me now. When you look at an individual review and you see the score, let's say anything, even if it's like a game and they give it like a, let's say they gave it a 7 out of 10. The advice I read was don't read it like that's how good the game is. Read it like that's the chance that you might enjoy the game. There's a difference, right?
Ooh, I like that.
So it's not that the game is a shitty game, or for instance, this movie is a shitty movie, a 56%. People go, oh, it's a shitty movie. No. It's just that there's less of a chance that you'll like it. It's not necessarily that it's bad. There's a difference there. There's a subtle difference there. And if
I hear you.
And because when people look at 56% for this Rotten Tomato score, they go in with negativity. They're gonna go in with, oh, it's probably a bad movie. And people go in with that negativity into the movie theater, and then they don't give it the chance that it should. Just with like a clear mind, unbiased, just go in and try and enjoy the movie for what it is. I mean, this is a kids movie about a video game adapted to a film. That's how lighthearted it should be, and I'm pretty sure that's as lighthearted as it is. So that's how you should go into it.
Yeah, that's true.
But as far as games are concerned, and these game reviews, they are getting out of hand. I
can't, bro.
So
IGN, I'm coming for your ass, bro.
IGN is making me sick, and before I get into this, I understand that it's the reviewer. It's not necessarily everybody at IGN who stands by this. However, IGN does publish it. So as much as I understand that it might be just this person reviewing this game, if you as a company are publishing the review, then in a way you're telling your readers that you stand by this review.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a game that just came out called Meet Your Maker.
Oh, yeah. We were supposed to try that.
Meet Your Maker, for people listening, if you don't know, it's a game where you pretty much build a base, and then other people who are online, actual people, come to your base, and they try to steal the center, like it's like a cell or something that they steal in the cellar, and then they have to leave. Like, it's basically a theft type of game, and you build your base with traps and guns and AI monsters and whatnot, and they have to try to get through your base, get to the center to steal this item, and then dip. It's cool in a concept. I played the beta, but I didn't really think that the game had a lot of depth. It didn't feel like a game where Hank and Logan asked about it. I was like, honestly, I don't see either one of us, all three of us, I don't see us really liking the game that much. It didn't seem like a game that was going to be like fun. And when I read the reviews, I read pretty much just that. I read that there was a lack of depth, and a lot of reviews, especially from actual people, were saying, I enjoy watching people try to go through my base more than I do actual trying to build the base and play the game myself. You can watch people go through your base. You can just sit there and like watch people and replay what they do. You can do that. They enjoy that more than actually playing the game, basically. So I'm reading this review from IGN. Case in point, at the very bottom, verdict. I'm gonna read this verbatim, and then I'm gonna tell you the score. Meet Your Maker is an awesome action game that beautifully executes on a terrific concept. It's missing some depth in its tools of destruction, has some bugs and wonkiness, and its thin story is a big old nothing burger. But as a starting point for another live service game from the team that brought us Dead by Daylight, it's extremely impressive. They gave this game an 8 out of 10 based off of what they think the game will eventually be. What kind of bullshit is that?
No, that right there, and that's why you got to be careful with IGN. That sounds like a paid review. You just sat there, started it with a high, but like not really a review. You just said this amazing game, and then you talked about it finally, which was the review highlight, which was it's ass, and then you ended with, but it was made by a great person, a great team, and they made another great game, so it's gonna be great. Like what? I don't know. You're gonna lose me here. This is where I think so. Yeah, you know what? Are you still going, Kevin? Because I'm ready to go in. I don't know.
This is where this is what really throws me off about reading reviews like this. This is not the only company or website that had a review about this game and said basically the same thing. There were a few, and I don't remember. IGN is the biggest one. There were a few other ones that said basically the same concept. Like, it's kind of thin and it's kind of great, but really, it looks like it's a good start. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. What the hell are we doing? I mean, if I go back, I don't remember.
Anything over a 7 is like, yo, that's good. Like, I'll play it. Like, and then when you talk 9, 10s, it's like, yo, I'm gonna fall in love with this game. But 7, 8 is like, yo, buy that game. Like, that's a good game.
That is a good game, and you would think just by the number, you'd be like, oh, this is a really well polished 8 out of 10. This is a really well polished game. This must be great. But then you read the verdict, and this is just the last paragraph. Missing some depth in its tools of destruction, has some bugs and wonkiness, and its thin story is a big old nothing burger. What about any of that sounds like 8 out of 10?
You can't write that and somehow end up with a 7. Like, at that point, you write that, your tier point should be like a 5.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so it has no story, it has no depth in its tools, and it's got bugs. 8 out of 10. What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, that's bad. That's a bad look, man. Like, but see, I guess that's where it's like, you just read the review or something like that. It's like, if you're a smart person, you'll make it educated. Like, say, forget the number, because that's actually what I was gonna kind of dive into. One, I was gonna say, when it comes to the games, that's why I like Metacritic. At least they put everything in one, and then I get like an average for the number. But in the end, reviews again, super subject. Like, I can like 1, 2, 3, 4 features in a game, and somebody else can literally dislike all those features. Like, so the game's gonna be a 9 for me, and it might be a 2 for them. Like, that is literally the reality, and that's what I think people need to understand. But I guess, I don't know, the internet's the internet, and we got the keyboard warriors. Like, it's just so funny when you see like something, boom, and then somebody else completely like just shits and like, how would they even like, this is a terrible game, like blah blah. Yeah, doesn't make sense. Like, why are you fighting them? That's their opinion. Us right now, the only thing we aren't necessarily fighting IGN for giving it a good score. We're fighting IGN right now for its summary, using its words on how it described the game, and then giving it the score because the 2 and 2 don't coincide. That's a whole nother story. But that's why I think we're moving, as much as content creators. You're better off. What you do, what I think, and what I start doing is, because I'll watch, it's like the overview videos, or whether they title them reviews, doesn't matter. Go find the content creators that do overviews or reviews, but watch the video and see what they're talking about in the game, and you should know if those are the features or things you like in a game. Regardless of what they even rated at the end, look for the gameplay and mechanics in the game through the videos and the breakdowns when they're breaking down the game mechanically and what you do in the game, rather than giving like necessarily like an IGN review on a bunch of stuff, but they don't kind of go in detail on anything. Because then that's also a little whatever. Like, I think we're better off watching a YouTube video and seeing the features and mechanics of the game. And even if then that person goes through their whole video, 10 minutes long, and then they give it a 4 or a 6, like whatever out of 10, but literally you just watch the mechanics and everything, and you're like, I like those things, that you have your answer then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you like it, then you like it. Forget that. All right, that guy gave it a 6 out of 10, but like based off of what I saw and what he showed me, that's all stuff that I enjoy in a video game. Like, that's how I think it should be looked at. But yeah, IGN be on some funky business.
It's just a shame too. And like I said, at least the way that I told you that advice that I gave earlier about how to look at scores. At least that way,
That too.
it makes some
I like
sense.
that.
Look at it like that's the likelihood that you may like the game or like the movie or whatever they scored, not necessarily how well the game is. But if you read the fucking IGN review, that is not that review and that score don't make any sense.
Yeah, it's not gonna help you. So here at GamerVice, guys, we are giving you a new way to look at games and how to review them. All right,
Yes.
that's what we're telling you. I like Kevin's little thing right there that he says about the likelihood you might like the game. Take into account watching videos on mechanics, like things that you know you like in games, or when you see a trailer or an announcement of a game, you instantly, like myself, have expectations. So now I have those expectations. Ooh, I see an overview on it. Oh, they hit my expectation. Oh, they didn't hit my expectations. It's not kind of what I thought it was going to be. All right, take a look at it that way, man. Like, let's stop stressing about dummies over here putting out reviews that don't even make sense with what they say and then the score they give it. All right, but the review game has gotten crazy out here, man. Movies, games, anything. Appliances,
anything. My microwave got a 5 out of 10. This is bullshit. Yeah. That shit works perfect. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's been kicking for 10 years. Ain't got no issues. What do I care? 5 out of 10.
To wrap up the whole review thing, though, I'm gonna give a shout out to a YouTube channel. It's called ACG, and if you ever watched ACG reviews, I appreciate the way that channel does it because they don't give a review based off of a score. They say you should either buy it, wait till it's on sale, or not buy it. Right? Yeah. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's and those reviews are practical. They go pretty well in depth, and then you leave that review going, I understand where they got that, conclusion from. These other sites and stuff like IGN, unfortunately, it's starting to feel like they're getting paid, man. And that's
they just seem so industry, so it's all a money whore. Like it lost all its genuinity. Is that even a word? I'm making up stuff, but like it ain't genuine. That's it. It just ain't real anymore.
Yeah,
it's all about the money.
But anybody who's listening out there, let us know what you think about game reviews. Let us know who or what sites you go to find unbiased game reviews. We want to know. That way we're not looking at IGN anymore because that's not working. And let us know about the Sony Handheld, man. That's a interesting hard piece of hardware. It's not coming out for probably about another year, but let us know what you think about the whole always connected to the internet, remote play to the PS5. Let us know about all that stuff. You got anything else to say, Crunky?
Nah, man, let's just thanks for tuning in. Wishing our boy Logan good health, but what I just thought about is when this guy watches this episode, he's not going to be happy because Logan over here, we would have been having a whole argument because that boy is IGN to the max and he loves IGN. So it's kind of funny how we ripped him the day he wasn't here. So we're going to have to get back at this eventually in another episode, man. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, all that good stuff. But go ahead and leave some comments. Let us know. Like Kevin said, man. In the next one, catch you guys.
Peace.